Good evening, everybody. My name is Ruth Main. I am a corporate director with APL GO. I've been with them since July of 2020. And this is actually one of my favorite calls in the whole world to host because of who we're going to be speaking with tonight. Mary Esther Gilbert. If you don't know anything about her, she holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in holistic nutrition. She also holds a bachelor's degree in nutritional science. A nutritional physiologist, a sports nutritionist, and a consultant, Mary Esther has over 40 years of experience, not only researching and formulating evidence-based nutritional health improvement protocols, but she has taught countless clients, students, audiences, and me, as well as many of you on this call, all around the globe, about the fundamental necessity of preventing disease and maintaining optimal health through biologically correct cellular nutrition. And I think that's a key point right there. She's written several books, many of them. She has actually 2 brand new books that she just published, as well as the book we all know and love, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, written by none other than Mary Esther Gilbert. Now, I know you were all muted, but turn on those cameras. Help me give a very warm welcome to our very own Mary Esther. Yay! Mary Esther, we can't hear them, but they are all clapping and waving at you because you are truly, truly loved. So would you like to say hi?
Hi, everybody. So glad you're here. Really excited to share the information I have for you today.
Oh, and you know what? You know as well as I do that Slide is one of my favorite products because of my bad knee. I got hit by a U-Haul truck, and you know it's just been downhill since 2015. And these products have changed my life like they've changed a lot of other people's lives. But before we start talking about in depth of what Slide can do, I know it's a favorite for so many people, myself included, because it helps fight inflammation. And that's what everybody's aware of. But before we get into all of the ingredients in Slide, I want to get your insight, because some people think that inflammation occurs only in your joints. Can you get inflammation anywhere in your body? And does that have anything to do with what's called a cytokine storm?
Absolutely. Yes. So this is one of the favorite questions that you submitted to me today, because boy, do I have some information for you all. The answer is yes, because whenever your body is in a state of inflammation, which means that there are so many things that can cause inflammation, stress can cause it, synthetic chemicals, microbes that cause the immune system to come in and charge and just try to destroy it. That's an inflammatory response. So there's so many different inflammatory responses that the body has to take care of every single day. So anything that doesn't belong in the body, the bacteria, the viral infections, the parasitic and the fungal infections, all those things that we can't help but encounter all the time, our immune system really just jumps right in and takes good care of it, but you have to be well nourished. That is the key. And also, if you're under a lot of stress over time, your body will produce the stress hormones, and that creates a cascade effect of all these different inflammatory responses. So your body is going to feel achy and fatigued, and just your moods are going to be quite lowered, and you're not going to be able to focus and concentrate and just live your life the way you want, right? And so as far as the biomarkers that medical tests reveal, so that means all these different inflammatory responses, like the cytokines, that's one kind, the chemokines, they're called also monocytes, all these different adhesion molecules, adenonectin, adiponectin, and all these different things like C-reactive proteins, fibrinogens, the serum amyloid alpha. These are just some of the biomarkers that medical tests reveal when someone is under a stress situation or inflammatory situation. That's pretty synonymous, inflammatory and a stress, any kind of stress.
So let me ask you, when somebody is experiencing a cytokine storm or inflammation, is there a way to manage that, or maybe even not have it happen as often, especially with people with autoimmune disorders, through nutritional supplements like our lozenges and specifically with Slide?
Yeah, when we get into the specific botanicals that you presented to me, definitely, well, I'll show you how that happens, how these phytochemical compounds, all these other nutrient factors, and the viable enzymes all play a role in reducing the inflammation, the inflammatory response, not just cutting it off, but healing the root cause. And so it's all about nourishment. You know, these botanicals in these drops are, like I said, viable, they're active. So they're ready to act on any inflammatory response and aid the immune system. So there's so many different biochemical reactions that happen that to make this occur. All right. So, and also you have to watch your diet. You know, you've got to be able to have 50% of your diet should be raw fruits and vegetables, things like fruits and berries and leafy greens, all the dark super greens, you know, different fresh herbs, cilantro, parsley, all these fresh herbs you can either grow easily in small pots or in, you know, a corner of your yard, or you can just get them from the supermarket, which are a bit more expensive. But these contain all the different phytochemical compounds. And when they're raw, they contain the enzymes that are important for reducing inflammation and digesting those very foods that are in those foods themselves. And also, lately, I've been examining the light energy frequencies that are present in you know, raw fresh foods and in our own living tissues. So the healthier a person is, the faster your vibrational frequency, your molecules will vibrate at a frequency that can be measured. 62 megahertz is where the entire human body usually will resonate at a higher level, at that high level, which is associated with optimal health. So a person who is less healthy, who hasn't been putting those vibrant foods in their bodies, their light in their cells aren't going to be resonating at a high frequency either. So, you know, that can be measured as well. So this is what we do. We have to address the root causes of the inflammatory response, or the cause of inflammation in the first place. So these foods act to repair the root problem and to detoxify if need be, because a lot of these synthetic chemicals elicit an inflammatory response in the body, you know, and so that's where it's at, you know. And the plant kingdom includes other things like the root vegetables, beans, legumes, 100% whole grains, no refined foods. That stuff will cause inflammatory reactions as well. Someone who eats white flour, white sugar, white rice, anything that's been stripped of its life other than its starch, will experience an inflammatory response in the body, because the body needs all those other augmenting vitamins and minerals and enzymes and fiber, you know, to do its processes to keep the body in balance, so that it does not have to worry about anything being damaged in the body. So nutrients are where it's at. And so our drops, and I'm almost done with this, our drops are viable and active, and their phytochemicals, you know, are known to reduce the inflammatory process, which we'll go into as we look at each individual botanical.
Like I said, I learned something new every single call. So now on to the joints. What, if you can explain it so we can all understand it, which you're very good at, what are the root causes of joint problems? And what causes the stiffness and the limiting of motion for people that have, like me, injuries where arthritis then sets in? I think a lot of people say, well, arthritis is only for people as they get older. And that's just not true. Every injury we've had in our life, arthritis starts to set in as we age. It just doesn't appear one day, correct?
Okay, there's several things I want to respond to about that. So when you get an injury, now as an athlete that's been physically active since 1974 till now, you know, the martial arts being slammed around and accidental injuries, you know, once in a while, I've recovered from every single injury. And I can say that, you know, I'm completely mobile. There's no stiff joints anywhere. You have to maintain flexibility by doing flexibility exercises. You have to maintain your skeletal and connective tissue structures through different kinds of exercise. And I just produced a book that explains that in great detail. And so, you know, the nourishment that you provide your body will maintain these connective tissues, joint fluids, you know, all these different things. Will prevent osteoporosis, or the wearing down of your bone structures, especially in the joints. So you have to stimulate the body through exercise, recover nutritionally after every single exercise session, no matter how gentle it is. If you're going for a walk, if you're in a wheelchair and you're wheeling yourself around, you have to maintain all of the muscles and the connective tissues that make that work happen, right? So that's what I wanted to address when you said that you have an injury that's an old injury. And I run across this with athletes all the time. They have old injuries. They have to retire early because they don't know how to replenish and nutritionally, so that the nutrients will restore those tissues back to normal. So exercise does that anyway. You know, anytime you exercise, you're utilizing and wearing down some of the tissues to a point. And when you replenish nutritionally, the body responds by anticipating another physical challenge. So it readies itself. It stores nutrients. It does the repair work. It reduces the inflammatory process. It gets rid of toxins. It just goes into full higher efficiency metabolism altogether. So that's another way to ensure that you won't degenerate as time goes on. Okay, so it's all about the nourishment, you know, and the hydration, making sure you're hydrated. But in answer to the question of what are the root causes of joint problems and the stiffness and limiting ranges of motion, so we've got various reasons that this happens. We have obstructions and impediment of the circulatory pathways, which means the body can collect, you know, all these different it can cause sluggish circulation, you know, so that you have all of these like dead cells circulating, things that the immune system has torn apart and taken care of. So all this cellular debris circulating in the body before it's able to be eliminated efficiently through the fiber-eliminative channels. And so so you've got the sluggish circulation and the poor fluidity of motion through the blood vessels because of the impediments of that. But also you've got these hardened plaque deposits that happen over time if you eat the wrong foods. Never heat oils, never eat hydrogenated fats like margarine and shortening. Those will definitely stick to the arteries and clog the whole system. Okay, so you don't want to obstruct your circulatory pathways and end up with a stroke or a heart disease or a heart attack, right? So also what happens is if you're not drinking enough water and you're not eating enzyme active raw foods, then you'll develop what are called uric acid crystals in the joints. And those are extremely painful. And that's the cause of a lot of the pain associated with arthritis. So those can be dissolved easily too with enzyme active foods. So, you know, that's another problem as far as what causes stiffness and limited range of motion. It's very painful. Then you've got the microscarring of the tissues in the organs or the connective tissues like the tendons, you know, and also the where was I? Oh, muscles. So organs and muscles and tissue scarring of the tissues at the micro scale will cause that stiffness and pain as well. So again, enzyme active foods, and our drops are enzyme active. They have the viable compounds that will help break this stuff down and repair our cells in those different systems, whether you have muscle issues or joint issues or you know, scarring of the liver or anything else inside the body. The enzymes will help dissolve that because those are proteolytic enzymes, which means they dissolve all these different kinds of proteins. Scar tissue are proteins, you know, enzymes are proteins. All of these plaques, they can be made out of some kinds of proteins, but usually they're made out of the wrong types of fats, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of problems that can arise from not taking care of the body nutritionally properly.
So if somebody has an injury that has plagued them for many years, and I'm speaking a little bit from experience here, a lot of people know that my accident took me out. I couldn't walk at all for 2.5 years. And the only thing the doctors wanted to do was cut me open and put fake joints in me. And I just had a real bad feeling about that. But it's interesting, when I started on our drops, and slide, relax, and stop were the 3 I started on. Within 5 days, 4 to 5 days, my movement and my lack of being able to extend and bend my knee improved drastically. And I noticed when I started feeling better, like a lot of people, I stop taking slides so often. And then I start getting stiff again. So it's just like anything else where we need to keep taking these to keep our body at optimal performance or to help our body get back to as optimal as we can. Would that be fair and correct?
Yes, our bodies require maintenance every single day, and that means a certain amount of nourishment, a lot of nourishment, nutrient density, not a lot of calories, but very highly nutrient dense foods. The plant kingdom, the animal-derived protein sources, the healthy fats, raw nuts and seeds, special different kinds of oils. Not all oils are healthy. The omega-3s are especially good for reducing that inflammation and repairing the cell structure. Our membranes, the inside of the cell also has a pliable cell structure. And so that has to be maintained too. And that requires all the vitamins and minerals and the fatty acids and the proteins, all the amino acids that make up a complete protein. All that has to be combined in order for us to rebuild every single one of our cells in every single body system. And sometimes some systems take longer to regenerate themselves. So if you take an SLD and you find it's helping your range of motion, or you feel like it's not as painful anymore, that's just the beginning. And if you stop, maybe your body hasn't finished doing the repairs. So, we have trillions of cells that need to be repaired and maintained, and we have to replicate them correctly. And all that requires the right molecular information that our DNA reads so that it can do the work of proper replication and perpetuate a healthy person rather than degenerate and reproduce unhealthy cells or cells that are only partially functional. That can always be reversed because the DNA, the instructions are present in every single cell in our body. So if you have something that has been damaged in one area of the body, that information is also stored in other areas of the body, in every single other cell in the body. So our cells are a complete instructional manual that the body uses to do the work, to repair itself and maintain itself. So repair is ongoing. And it does take time. It does take time to do the repair work. So, these are nutrients the body uses every single day. Why deprive yourself? You have an excellent array of nutrient-rich, very effective drops that do the work at the microcell level, that do the repair work at the DNA level. So why stop? I don't see why you should ever stop that. It's exactly what we need.
Amen to that. Well, let's get on now to the ingredients in slide. As you have heard, and I know some of you feel the same way I do, SLD is one of everybody's favorites. And I know we've been places, and when my knee's hurting or when somebody's arm is hurting or something, everybody says, here's a slide, because they work. Let's start off, Mary Esther, talking about ginger. Now, we all know that ginger is known for fighting inflammation, but I've heard that it also helps with things like morning sickness and cramps and arthritis. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because everybody thinks that our product is only geared for one thing. And I think we're all learning that, oh my gosh, there's such a wide array that one product can cover because of the ingredients.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Ginger is one of the greatest superfoods on the planet. And I have to say, our drops contain the greatest superfoods on the planet, and the book that I produced, I found even more superfoods that were fantastic that are provided for us on this planet. But ginger, let's stick to ginger. Just off the top of my head, it protects the stomach lining against intestinal parasites. So it'll help the immune system and the mechanisms that repair and repair, especially if you're taking in enough proteins in your diet, because the proteins are what do the repair work. There's almost everything in the body is made out of protein besides water and a few nutrients, right? So we have to be able to repair those tissues, but ginger goes right in there and assists that repair process. So it's working at the DNA level. And also, it's such a great antimicrobial. It will clean out the intestines and kill off the intestinal parasites that sometimes bore into the stomach lining and cause ruptures and cause a lot of problems. That's how ulcers start and all these other problems that parasites cause, you know. So and again, another inflammatory response, right? But ginger goes in there and helps destroy those and helps the repair process. So it's got a twofold, you know, a twofold function. So also, it contains a substance called asparagine. Actually, it's an amino acid, and it's contained in a lot of our body proteins. Anytime your body has to build a protein, then it'll use this asparagine amino acid to help build that protein. It also contains silica, and silica is one of the elements found in bones, and it's important for building flexible, strong tendons. Also, it's found in the kidneys and the liver. And it's also a component of hair and nails. It's also found in the aorta, the largest artery that we have, you know, that's really a big one way up here in the throat. So it also helps clear the kidneys. And not only does it help rebuild and repair, but it helps detoxify. So it binds to all kinds of toxic chemicals and helps the immune system not have such a violent response, right? Like the cytokines that we talked about earlier. So it helps clear the kidneys and the liver, the gallbladder, and the bile ducts that will actually process fats. So when you eat fats, you're not really digesting them through the stomach. They go straight through the liver to the gallbladder, through the bile ducts, and that's how our fats get broken down. So that's just a little bit, you know, of what we're talking about, but I can go on about the ginger if you'd like.
No, because we have a lot more ingredients to get through. I know we could talk for an hour at least on each ingredient. What about grapple plant root? Now, I myself was not privy to this, and I think a lot of people, it's one of those things that's never talked about. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of that?
Wow. Okay. So I'm going, because it's such a really long explanation, I have to pick out the things that apply today. So let me go ahead and find that in my book here. I think it's page 230, if I remember correctly. It's right after ginger root. There it is. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to I'm just going to pick things out. Okay. Just know that I'm just picking things out for time constraints sake. Right. So it's been used for fevers. It will reduce the amount of illness-causing bacteria that causes the immune system to elevate the body temperature to destroy, you know, the bacterium or viruses or fungi or you know, any other kind of microbe. So it's been known to help reduce fevers, but not until it kills off the bacteria. That's what causes the fever in the first place. Also, it's an anti-inflammatory for things like arthritis and, like I just said, problems of the digestive tract, any kind of damage in there. And anytime the skin erupts when it's trying to detoxify something, usually it's synthetics or the wrong types of fats that we're eating. It's one of the eliminative organs, and they usually show up in the skin. And also it's got a lot of great enzymes that help stimulate the appetite. Okay, and also, let's see, I'm just picking out a few things here. It's been known to be effective against all kinds of degenerative joint diseases because of the nutrient factors that are in it, the phytochemical compounds that help rebuild, like I mentioned earlier. It's been used against tendonitis, reducing the inflammatory response of tendonitis because it helps repair the tendon tissues, right? So anytime something gets repaired, it's not broken anymore, it's not going to have an inflammatory response, it's not going to have a pain response. Okay, so that's why it's got great pain relieving properties. So it probably has things like the salicylic acid or other phytochemical compounds that help reduce inflammation anyway, in addition to the other compounds that help repair the causes of it. So this is a really great, it's from South Africa, you know, so it's been brought to the United States a long time ago.
Did I hear you correctly? You said it can actually help kill bacteria in your body?
Oh yeah, all these botanicals do contain the phytochemicals that are known to destroy and inactivate bacteria so that they cannot adhere to the cells and they cannot replicate anymore, or they're completely destroyed. Once the bacteria is no longer functional, the immune system says, oh, that doesn't belong here. So it goes in and it just takes it apart, you know, literally eats it. Some of our phagocytes will go in there and eat it, digest it, and spit it out, you know, so that we can eliminate it a lot more quickly. Oh yeah. In fact, I can show you, once we're done here, I'll show you all the different types of immune cells and what they do.
Okay. Well, let's
I've
move
done
on
that before, but yeah.
Let's move on to licorice root. What a great ingredient, as we all know. It's been used for centuries for all kinds of issues as well as inflammation. But I did not know that it's also used for things like respiratory issues. It's also an antimicrobial effects on your body. Can we discuss that? Because that ties in with why Slide works so well, is what I'm hearing with all of these ingredients.
Yes, absolutely. So the licorice root, one of the components is that it neutralizes toxic effects of all kinds of toxins, synthetics. And because of the phytochemical compound structures or molecular structures, they can actually dissolve the synthetics, like dissolves like. If any of you have taken a chemistry class way back in high school or college, that's one of the first things you use when you have to do the lab experiments, right? Is like dissolves like. So the phytochemicals in all these plants, including the ones in licorice root, will help to dissolve these synthetics so that your body can eliminate them more easily. Because if they're in their full molecular structures, then your body thinks it's a fat and it will store it in the fatty tissues, including end up as the coating, the fatty acid coating of our nerve cells. So the degenerative brain functioning and nervous system functioning problems are the result of that kind of problem. Okay, so
Wow.
So yeah, that's one of the things it causes. It helps. So, and also, like I said earlier, I was mentioning about how it inactivates the bacteria. Well, the one in licorice root, it neutralizes all the toxic effects of the toxins that are released by illness-causing bacteria. So they have their own, detoxification, right? But those are very poisonous to the system, and that's what causes a lot of the health problems when people have a bacterial infection. It also has blood sugar balancing effects, so it's used for things to balance the blood sugar and helping the organs like the pancreas also balance do its work in balancing the blood sugar. It helps like I said earlier, inhibits the replication of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. So one important thing that I found is that it prevents this integration of a virus into the host cell's DNA. So when we catch a cold, we are the victims of this process. So if you're eating or taking supplements like the drops that have the phytochemical compounds that are known to disable, that kind of integration so that it can't become part of our DNA, then, you've escaped the virus infection kind of thing. So that's another thing I like about the licorice root. There's so many more things that I want to tell you about all these plants.
I know. Like I said, we could go on for hours. Let's move on to the green tea leaf. Another very important ingredient. I know it's known for its health benefits. Green tea is, we all know that. Green tea is like one of the most potent anti-inflammatories out there. But what are the health benefits of that particular leaf within Slide and the way it interacts with the other ingredients?
Yeah, if you notice so far, we've been talking about things that cause inflammation anyway. All of these responses, all the things that don't belong in the body and our immune system's responding to, it's an inflammatory response process. So these plants are stellar for reducing those reactions, fixing the problem at the root cause, and preventing those reactions in the first place. So what the green tea leaf does, what I always loved about it is, okay, so here are a few things. The phytochemicals in green tea are actually many times more potent than vitamin C and E, and those are very highly effective antioxidant supplements. So the phytochemical compounds in the plant kingdom, all these botanicals, and including the particular ones in the green tea leaf, are very, very good for neutralizing any kind of rogue molecule that's destroying your cells called free radicals, and also it's been known to suppress the cancer-forming process. So you nip it in the bud, the immune system can go in and recognize abnormal cells developing and destroy them before they even start to spread or replicate. So that's really important too. It accelerates the breakdown of cholesterol and fats in the blood. So if you are watching your cholesterol or want to maintain your body fat or on a weight management program protocol, then green tea should be one of the things that you're using, because you're going to be able to break down the fats that you consume, and your body will utilize them to construct cell structures, right? And to maintain the cholesterol levels so that it remains liquid in the body, so that your body can produce hormones. It's a precursor to 10,000 or more hormones the body uses. So, it helps your body utilize fats so much more efficiently, rather than just storing them in all the fat cells all over the body and in the organs. Wherever we have fat cells, that's where it's going to be sent if you don't have these wonderful phytonutrient compounds that are in these botanicals. And then
I want to
also
expound on that one a little bit for a second, because
Sure.
everyone knows that turmeric is very hard for your body to absorb in a raw form. And there's been a lot of back and forth on what you should take it with, and like golden milk and pepper and all kinds of things. In our products like Slide, we don't need to worry about that as much, because it's the plant DNA. It's 100% absorbed, and our body doesn't have to work to do that, correct?
Right. And the phytonutrient compounds are enzyme active, and that's all the difference. If a person takes a turmeric supplement, then that's been processed and cooked, most likely, unless the company is proud of the fact that they're maintaining the enzyme in their powdered capsule form, right? Or if it's a powder or a spice, all of the spices that we use, those have been heat processed.
Right.
So that destroys a lot of its absorbability and benefits. Not that it's not beneficial to put in your cooking and whatnot, but it's not as beneficial as if you slice off a little piece of a turmeric root that's raw enzyme active and grate that into your smoothies. That's the best way to maintain the enzymes, because you're not cooking it. But if you're cooking at a low temperature, then of course the longer you cook it, the least enzyme active it's going to be. So that's the main issue. When things are not going to be absorbed as well as the raw foods, that's what you want to make the distinction of the difference if you want to truly have your botanicals be the most effective in the body. If you take in a cooked botanical, then studies have shown that their light energy frequencies are so dimmed that you can barely see them in the photographs. Special electronic equipment, of course. But when you have a raw enzyme active, light energy active food, then it's brilliant in these photographs. It's amazing. So yeah, you just want to make sure you have as many raw foods in your diet as possible, viable, supplements. And there aren't very many viable supplements out there. The drops are viable. And this is what sets them apart. And also, like you said, the DNA, the mitochondria, which is the the energy producing organelle inside the cell. So once your mitochondria gets going and it starts producing energy, everything is fueled. All of your biological processes, your multiple trillions of biological processes in the body are being fueled. So you're constantly doing, detoxification, cell repair, regeneration, cell duplication, transcribing, information from the old DNA cell in the cell to the new cell's DNA. So all that stuff's going on all the time. So we need to, in order to stay alive, we have to consume live energy active foods. And so that's all the difference, in answer to your question about the DNA and the absorbability.
Well, let's move on, because I know we're going to run out of time, and I want to get through all of this. Okay. Wild strawberry is another one of the ingredients in Slide. Now, my husband and I just picked a whole bunch of wild strawberries out of my flower bed because it was just overtaking everything. And every time I've tasted them, they taste terrible. So I'm glad they're in Slide so I don't have to taste them. But what do they contribute to this blend in Slide?
Okay, great. Another anti-inflammatory, of course, great antioxidant, neutralizes all those rogue molecules that don't belong in the body, stealing electrons and destroying our healthy cells. So it'll neutralize them. Just donate an electron to something like that, and neutralizes them. The body can get rid of it much more easily. But if it's active in the body and it's stealing electrons everywhere and damaging your cells, damaging your DNA, then you have to have something in there to stop that. And the components of wild strawberry are known to do that. All these botanicals are great anti-inflammatories, but they have different phytochemicals and different configurations that do it in slightly different ways for slightly different types of compounds that occur in the body. So the more variety of foods that you eat, and like the drops, they give us a great variety of all these botanicals that are active and viable. So your body has its pick and choice of so many different possibilities to maintain itself. But so strawberries, like I just said, they calm, they neutralize, they avert the problem altogether. And then with this elimination of all that it does, all the things that don't belong in the body, all the things that are responding to the antioxidant, it's very critical for getting rid of the body's inflammatory responses or inflammation. And it's also known to decrease low density cholesterol and increase high density lipoprotein cholesterol. So the high density is heavier and it sweeps out all the cellular debris within the blood vessels. And the low density, it has its role, but it's not as effective in cleaning out the arteries, And so that's why it's great for lowering cardiovascular risk factors like high blood pressure, hyperglycemia, dyslipidemia, if your body's not handling fats properly. And also a lot of these issues are associated with obesity. So, a very high enzyme active, high phytonutrient content diet and supplements are extremely important for people who are overweight.
Wow. All right, let's get to the last one, and that's pear. In your book, you actually quote that there are a lot of scientific studies that have been done that backed by science that pears help with chronic conditions. Can you talk about that? Because the chronic, I think, leads into the inflammatory response, which is what makes it chronic, correct?
Yes, but first of all, let's clarify the fact that it's not the pear that we see at the grocery stores. This is called balsam pear, and it's a completely different plant. Let me do a screen share really quickly, and I'll show you a picture of it. I'm trying to find
everybody is taking notes like I am, and I'm sure we're all going to run out. We've got a special on slide, guys, so just wait till the end. Man, it's going to blow your mind.
All right, so here's a picture of the balsam pear fruit. Can you all see that?
Yep.
I'm just going to enlarge it slightly. Doesn't look like anything we get at the grocery store that we call pears. It's a completely different plant, just so you know. Okay, so yeah, let's go over it. I mean, as you can see, there's quite a few groups of scientists that have gathered together all the documentation on this botanical from all over the world. Ryland, that'll give you an idea of this group of scientists that have gathered information, and also Metelgen back in 2017. So this is kind of a summary of all the different scientific studies that have been done over time on these plants. So anyhow, of course, the whole plant's going to have a full course of the vitamin and mineral complexes that we can't fit into the drops, at least not too many of them. But also, it's a great anti-inflammatory, anti-hyperglycemic, and diuretic. So if your body's retaining too much water, this is the baby for you, Also has
I like that fourth one down. Scroll back up, that fourth one down. 1, 2, 3, 4. High in phenolic acids, important polypropanol antioxidants, which have a protective role in the body against oxidative changes and oxidative damage that puts one at risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancers. Wow.
Yeah. Polyphenols are a huge classification of phytochemical compounds found in different plants. And there's so many different polyphenols. Plants can have different polyphenols in them. But the ones that have been studied and tested in this particular plant, yeah, it's been great for, alleviating or preventing heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancers, because it gets the problem before it becomes a problem, So these are some of the examples of the polyphenols. Flavonoids, your body converts them to bioflavonoids, which helps build healthy blood vessels, and all these different organic acids that play a role in helping and assisting all these different biochemical processes the body has to do all the time. Stilbenes, lignans, all these different polyphenols, anthocyanidins, flavonols. Some of these are very familiar because the nutritional supplement industry has totally, capitalized on all these different polyphenols and put them in their supplements. So you've got immune aid, right? Digestive aids, respiratory. So apparently, because of the anti-inflammatory effect and the tissue repairing effects, will have an affinity for the lungs, and the glandular system, the urinary system, muscular system, skeletal, lymphatic. The lymph nodes are what get clogged up the most and cause another type of circulatory obstruction. And so you've got swollen lymph glands and immune system problems because the lymph nodes do produce some of the white blood cells. Nervous system, it'll help the nerve transmission from cell to cell so that your nervous system communicates more efficiently with everything that's going on in the body. Nervous system, hormonal system, they work hand in hand all the time to monitor the entire system. All these anti-inflammatory flavanols, catechins, epicatechins, all these quercetin. I'm sure you've heard of these beta carotene, all the different carotenoids, lutein, zeaxanthin. I'm sure that people have seen these in supplements, and the whole plant is a very high source of vitamin C and vitamin K. That's very important for maintaining healthy blood vessels as well. All these different minerals. You don't take one isolated supplement. Don't any of you do that, because it's not going to have the effect of the whole complex in the plant itself. So, a nutrient-rich soil grows nutrient-rich plants, and you want the whole complexes of these things in if you're going to have the plant versions.
Wow.
But we've got the DNA.
This is just absolutely incredible. Like I said, I learn something every time we do one of these. Let's wrap up. I want to make sure that people understand. I know when I first started taking Slide, and I was just in terrible pain from the arthritis and everything, that I took it several times a day because I had to take it because I was working in the garden so much. And it's safe for people to take any of our drops, but including Slide, more than once a day, correct?
Yeah, they're all very, very important nutrients. Your body is searching for such molecules every single second. It's got a lot of work to do, multiple trillions of processes in these multiple trillions of cells. And so in order to stay alive, all this work has to be done constantly, 24/7, 365 for so many years, right? So these nutrients are at work for us all the time. Don't worry, your body will make use of it. It'll find a way. It's very frugal that way, and it's very smart. So yeah, there's no problem in that. I mean, you don't want to take a whole packet all at once. That's kind of a lot of sugar, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, your body can easily handle the sugar in a few of the drops, but a whole package every day is going to be a little bit excessive. There's good, but then there's too much of a good thing that can turn into something that's a problem. So yeah, you don't want to do that. But yeah, these are 100% absorbable, 100% biocompatible. So that should not be a problem.
Fantastic. And now, folks, we're going to get, like I said, I took notes. I hope you all did. I took notes because, like I said, I learn something every time we get on one of these calls. I want to let you know that Slide is on sale as of right now. Buy two, get two free. I do this every month with every product of the month, but I'm probably going to double up on this one. Slide is one of my favorites. There's messages in the chat that people get headaches, they take them. Slide has helped so many people in so many different ways. And now you can buy two, get two, which is always a great thing. And that, I think, is it for the slides. I want to wrap it up tonight by, first of all, thanking you all for being here. And most importantly, thanking Mary Esther. This is one of the most important calls, I think, that we have, because it does inform people about what our lozenges can do over and above the very first spiff that we all say that, it's used for. And Slide is one of those. How many Slide for a day? I was taking up to 4 a day when I first started. I don't need to do that anymore. And as Mary Esther said, you can take a couple a day if you need to, 3 or 4 when you first start. You'll find that as your body adjusts, you won't have to take as many. Deborah's saying she takes 2. That's usually what I do, especially lately when I've been working in the garden. And as we wrap up, I want to just let Mary Esther talk about our book, Potent Superfoods. as well as some of her new books, which are very complimentary to the book that she wrote about our products here at APL. And if there's anything that you want to just throw in closing, Mary Esther, about Slide in general, or just our lozenges in general, we know that you love them. You wouldn't have written the book. And thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know it is. So yeah, let me just go ahead and go over something just for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
I'm going to share screen again. So let me go find that button there. There it is. Okay, so I'm putting up the document. Lately I've been preparing PDF documents on everything we talk about. The questions that I get, I answer them, in detail. If we don't get to them during the call, then they're in the PDF document. And I'll be posting this on my website, holisticchoices.com, under supplements. And you'll see a link that goes to the APL GO page on the supplements page on my website. So just so that you know, I just included all the questions that you asked, and I went ahead and stuck a few scientific references if you want to understand the inflammatory response and what happens in the body. This is a fantastic peer-reviewed study, and you'll see notations of all the different scientific researchers that have done the work to contribute toward the conclusion that constitutes a peer-reviewed study. So this is an excellent one. You'll learn a lot about inflammation. I also borrowed one of their tables here, and it talks about the cytokine, and the different kinds of immune cells that are at work in the body and their function, so you know what's going on in the body. And this is a continuation of that same chart. And this is the reference where you can find it. And also, they also talk about the nerve and nervous system and immune system pathways and how they connect and how they help reduce inflammatory problems in the body. And also, I borrowed a wonderful chart. I can enlarge this for you. So this is what happens inside the blood vessels, inside the cells. You've got an injury, infection, you've got the inflammation, the immune cells go in there and cover it up so that they can do the repair work inside. Then you've got the healing process eventually. So a lot of things are happening in the body, and these are some of the repair mechanisms at work. The immune cells especially are at work, and it shows just a little picture of what they do. Another idea, so you know what's going on inside your body. And so they explain it very, very well. And I just included the link there. So then we talked about
fantastic.
All this.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the graphic.
Oh, I know. The picture's worth 1,000 words.
Definitely.
And I also, I used my own book as a scientific reference because it's full of, scientific research studies, peer-reviewed studies. So I just took a few things for each of the botanicals we went over tonight, and I used my book as a reference. Like you said, the world's potent superfoods for lifelong true health, not the world's.
Potent superfoods for lifelong
potent superfoods.
It's a wonderful book, guys. You can get it on her website. You can get it on Amazon. You can get the digital copy, or you can get the hardback. I got the hardback because I write in it, and I have all kinds of tabs. Every time Mary Esther and I talk, and she's helping me with issues that I'm going through, I go in the book and I find where all that is, and I make note to myself on it. It really is, for me, more of a desk reference manual than anything else. And I have noticed that when you are speaking to professionals and you show them that book, they're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's geared, the format is geared for professionals to make them stop and take notice and listen to you, right? Yeah. And it's also, it defines all the terms in there for you so that you learn and you understand them, kind of thing. So yeah, it's for everybody.
Not only that, the references that you have in it, there are thousands of references in there, guys. If anybody ever questions you, you can just say, this is not me saying this. Look, here's the references. And
oh yeah. I've never counted them. I don't know if anybody has ever counted them, but my guess is there must be over 1,000, maybe 2,000.
There is.
I don't know. So anyhow, I also included in this PDF document critical dietary factors for avoiding the inflammatory responses in the body. And I already talked about the different kinds of foods and some foods that I didn't get a chance to mention. But this is basically out of my book, the new book that I just produced, Nutritional Synergy. It's an old system that I've been using for decades, and of course I perfected it over time, and I've utilized it for every conceivable, health recovery process for my clients that you can ever think of, A through Z. And so it's just a basic, fundamental outline of the types of foods that the body needs versus what you shouldn't eat, kind of thing. If you want to be sick, then by all means, eat the junk food. Go ahead, see what happens. But, give your body what it's desperately searching for, and it will take care of you. You won't have to worry about your health, ever. Just take care of it, and it'll take care of you. And then also, I wanted to also share this last page. I can't help it. I'm so excited about sharing this information. I hope it's okay.
Yes.
One of the two books that I just published is Nutritional Synergy, and the other one is mostly for athletes, people who are starting exercising. It's also good for them too, but it gears toward the serious exerciser and the athlete too. And that one is called Eating for Physical Power and Stamina. And so I just published them side by side, and they have some similarity overlaps in them, but they also offer unique things, in each one. So the nutritional synergy system is my 14 category food choice system that I've been using. And so I go into great detail and I teach people how to use the system, how to put together the meals, how to everything as far as your nutritional health and getting your health recovery back and getting you on the path to optimal health, vibrancy, literally light energy frequency, vibrancy. Okay. And the system's been very great for people for many, many years, decades. And then also here's the link. It's always the same page on my website. And then also the book that I wrote for the APL people, and then some, of course, with the additional botanicals in the sequel. There will be, don't hold your breath, there will be a volume 2 in the future. I've collected over 130 new botanicals that aren't in this book that I'll be researching. But first things first, I'm going to be finally, right now I'm in the process of building my online school. And I decided on a title finally, the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management. And so that's where those of you who send me questions, health questions, I love it. I love answering your health questions, but this is going to be, that on steroids. So if you want to join as a member, and, I'll collect all these questions and I'll constantly be putting out information for my members, and it's very affordable, so if you go to this link down here, it'll talk about everything you want to know about the coming membership site.
Perfect.
And that's about it.
Well, Mary Esther, thank you so much. We appreciate you immensely. We appreciate that you share with your heart 100,000% with us. And I know I speak for everybody when I say thank you. So for tonight, folks, that is all we have. We will make sure that you have access to the recording as well as to the document, the PDF that Mary Esther put up. If you're in the APL GO portal, it'll be posted there. And I think we can talk to Esther and get it posted as well. So thank you all. Have a blessed and wonderful night, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.